I'm on a mission to find the best tasting brown butter chocolate chip cookie that the internet has to offer. Today we're going to be trying Krolls Korner brown butter chocolate chunk cookie. Just reading the description on the website, this recipe seemed pretty promising. It started out with the usual ingredients: all-purpose flour, baking powder, and baking soda. But then I realized they wanted me to use dark brown sugar, which I didn't have any dark brown sugar, so I ended up using light brown sugar, and the recipe said that it would be okay to do so. So I was very happy to see that this recipe called for a very high ratio of brown sugar to white sugar. So I'm thinking that this is going to be a good thing as far as the texture goes. Now, I'm adding espresso powder, and I'm willing to tussle about it if you have a problem with it. The recipe did say that it's okay to add mix-ins like cinnamon or espresso if you want to. So I love the taste that espresso powder gives. And because I was cooking up a sweat, I had to get me a sip of Diet Dr. Pepper and do me a little dance. And now we're about to get back to it. While I was waiting on my brown butter to cool in the refrigerator, as you should, I decided to pick out the chocolate chunks that I wanted to use. Obviously, I'm not using Trader Joe's. I didn't want to use these Goodtard chocolate discs, so I decided to use this 70% cocoa, and I just happen to have two, so let's get rid of it. It needs to go. This cookie recipe asks for you to roll your dough in the actual chocolate chunks, so I made two separate little cutting boards worth of chocolate. And it was at this point in the recipe where I realized they wanted me to get out my hand mixer. I was spoiled because I either want to use my KitchenAid or I want to stir it by hand. The hand mixer is just doing a lot for me because I got to do all this. But I finally got it put together, yay. And by the time I did all that, my brown butter was cool and it was smelling so good, and I went ahead and poured it in my sugar, and then I got to work. And honey, I was not happy with this hand mixer at all. As y'all can see, stuff was just flying everywhere. My bowl was too small. It was just a lot going on. I was getting overstimulated, but we made it through. This recipe called for 1 egg and 1 egg yolk. I could already tell she was going to be a thick girl. This recipe also called for whole milk, but I didn't have any, so I used heavy whipping cream. If I ever remake these cookies, I'll definitely use the milk. So excited to be able to use this double fold bourbon vanilla extract that I got from Trader Joe's. Baby, this thing was strong, honey. It smelled like liver. I even heard people saying that Trader Joe's ID'd them to buy this, y'all. Isn't that crazy? It actually has real vanilla beans in it, and I only use half of the amount that the recipe called for because this vanilla extract is super strong, and it literally should not be used in the same equivalencies as regular vanilla extract. Now they want me to sift the flour, which I'm not mad at it. I get the point of sifting the flour. I'm going to do it because that's what the recipe called for. And at this point, I'm just mixing, y'all. I'm just mixing, I'm sifting, I'm mixing, and I'm sifting, mixing, sifting. And eventually I get to a point where all the dough is actually incorporated. Then I add my little chocolate chips, and we can really get down to business. At this point, I'm tired. It's 10 o'clock at night, but we got this recipe said that it makes 22 cookies. And baby, I'm thinking in my mind, 22 cookies where? Because I'm using a regular ice cream scoop, and I think I got maybe 9-10 cookies out of this. Now, if you maybe have this, I guess you could get 22 cookies. But child, who is eating little mini cookies? I don't want no little mini cookies. Anyway, I put some flaky salt on top of one of these cookies because I'm not a huge flaky salt person. But honestly, the flaky salt was actually really necessary to the balance of this cookie. I believe that the 70% chocolate that I used along with the actual sweetness of this cookie was so well done. It was the perfect choice for the amount of sweetness in the dough, and the flaky salt really brought out the flavors of the cookie. Now, because this dough didn't require any chilling, I do feel like the flavors were a little bit flat. They definitely could have been more pronounced if you let it chill, and the inside was a little bit doughy, but otherwise this was a pretty good cookie, y'all.